This is the Epik SE, and it's got a few different features than the standard Epik, namely that it's got a 7-speed cassette here in the rear. It's the Shimano Tourney TX. Works very well, uses this grip shifter up here, and it adds a lot of mobility to this bike, right? Like the other bike, it's a single speed, it's great for city riding and stuff, but as soon as you encounter hills or maybe you want to ride a little faster and actually use it sort of for sporting, it's not quite as versatile. The other cool thing about this version of the Epik is that it's got a shock absorber on the front, and I really like this shock actually because it works. It's got a decent amount of travel right there, and it's pretty soft. I've noticed, been riding around parking lots and stuff, off sidewalks and curbs and stuff, and it's pretty forgiving. I'm like 140 pounds, and the shock is regularly kind of almost like a spring, and it really smooths out the ride. The tires here, as you can see, they're not like super thin either. So with those two things kind of working together, this is a pretty solid ride for a folding electric bike, and the price is really one of the big selling points on this and the other Epik. They're both, the other one's under $1,500, and this one's like $250 more. Pretty good deal considering what you're getting here with the gears and everything. Now the trade-offs is this one still has fenders, but they're a little bit sportier, as you can see. There's no rack on this one on the rear. There's also just one light on the front, and it's not on right now, but it's just a standard battery-powered light. So, you are kind of trading off, and this one is meant more for kind of sporting, like riding around. In fact, I wonder if like the SE, maybe that's like Sport Edition. They say it's, for like 7-speed or whatever, but, whatever. So I've had a lot of fun riding this bike around, and I also really appreciate sort of the way they've designed it. You've got a rear hub motor, but the battery is built right into the folding frame. And that, of course, distributes the weight more evenly across the frame versus having it hanging off the back or something. And I really appreciate that. You can also charge the battery in the bike, or you can completely remove it. And it's real easy to remove. It just slides right out, and it's a pretty good package. So, at some point if the battery were to die or whatever, it'd be pretty easy to replace. There aren't like a ton of wires getting in the way. And, if you're traveling with this thing, you want to make it easier to lift up, like lighter, and take that battery out. So it's great. I really appreciate the design there. And I'm going to jump right into the drive system. So what we've got here is a geared 250 watt rear hub motor, and the gearing means that they can make the motor a little smaller and lighter but still get excellent torque and power. 250 watts is kind of at the lower end, but considering this bike, it's like a 38-pound bike, that's not too bad. It's enough to kind of get you going, and in my experience here, it's been plenty. But again, I weigh 140 pounds. The battery, as I was talking about before, that's a 36-volt, 7-amp-hour lithium polymer battery, and so it should get, it's relatively lightweight, should get decent number of charge cycles. Fairly standard, and it's all controlled with this little panel up here. There's no LCD, there's no speed or anything like that, but again, you're cruising around town, and maybe you've got this on a boat or on a RV or something like that. It's kind of about having fun, and frankly, there's not a whole lot of room on the handlebars for something like that. Anyway, you could add your own little computer, but I think they made the right call here, and it keeps the bike cheaper. So you press this button to turn it on. You can see how much power is left. You can see which mode of pedal assist you're in, and this uses a pedal X sensor. So you can see that little plastic disc with those metal dots. Every time your crank arm passes that, it kind of sends a signal to, get the motor going. So that's how the pedal assist works. This one also has a trigger throttle right there, so you can, at any time, you can just gun it, which is pretty neat. On the other Epik, that's on the right-hand side, but because this one has, gears to shift there, they kind of had to move it, and it works pretty well. You've kind of got all your drive system stuff over here. Of course, they've got a fun little bell. So I'm just going to hop on and show you what it's like to cruise on this thing. I like the kickstand also. It seems to hold up pretty well, sort of adjustable. They've got this little metal piece here so that when you do fold the bike, that kind of protects the the front chain ring. And it does have a little bit of a bash guard, but just plastic, so The other interesting thing I failed to mention before is that it's got this Novella disc brake in the rear. The front still just has, a rim brake, a V brake right there, and in the spirit of being like a sport bike, having that extra stopping power is pretty cool, and it's neat that they actually added that back there. And of course, you've still got kind of all the different places you could add your own rack. You could add some other, fenders if you wanted, something like that. It's neat that this bike is fairly versatile, and again, with the price, you've probably got some extra money left over to trick it out just right. So I'm going to hop on. You can listen for the motor. I'm going to start in medium. Let's see, so you can kind of listen for it. Now watch the shock. Kind of see it going up and down. That's what I was talking about. It's neat that, it's kind of forgiving. We're not, this isn't like a Fox shock or something where there's excellent preload and, it's really going to improve the ride for like mountain biking, but it is nice that it definitely takes the bite out of like a bump like this. Okay, so now I'm going to put on the wide angle lens and just show you what the riding position looks like, and then maybe I'll do the throttle mode. So that's the other cool thing. You can completely switch off pedal assist, and that's nice because sometimes you do want to pedal for exercise, but you can still use the thumb throttle, right? So I feel like they've worked the kinks out there, and it's nice that you have a lot of control as the rider. Okay, so now I'm just pedaling human power right there. See, the bike's kind of doing its thing, and now I can use the throttle. Woo! Now see the seating position here. Of course, you don't want to get going too fast on any kind of folding or mini bike like this. You kind of get the speed wobbles or whatever, but frankly, it's not bad. Got the quick adjust seat and everything, so I'm pretty impressed. Again, this is the Epik SE. For the full written review on this thing and other electric bikes, check out ElectricBikeReview.com, and I'll see you there.